Hello and welcome to another episode with me, Shruti. This is my second nature. And आज हम बात करने वाले हैं बच्चों की कहानियों के बारे में, not just कहानियां, पोएट्री के बारे में. Now, normally जब भी हम poems की बात सुनते हैं, we associate it with elders. We associate it with कि कुछ समझ आना चाहिए, details. अब जो बच्चे अभी ABCD सीख रहे हैं और साथ में सिर्फ cat, bat, then immediately we go to nursery rhymes. लेकिन क्या नर्सरी राइम से हटके उनके लिए कहानियां भी हो सकती हैं जो बच्चे एक्चुअली एंजॉय करें? वेल, दैट्स एग्जैक्टली व्हाट वी आर गोना टॉक अबाउट टुडे. माय गेस्ट टुडे इज साक्षी सिंह. तो लेट्स गेट इनटू हर वर्ल्ड एंड अंडरस्टैंड कि ये जो वो पोइट्री लिखती हैं छोटे बच्चों के लिए, हाउ डज इट वर्क एंड क्या सोशल मैसेजेस शी मेक्स श्योर दैट शी इंक्लूड्स इन देम. लेट्स वेलकम हर ऑन माय सेकंड नेचर. Hi Sakshi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you? Good to catch up after years.
It's so good to see your face. Okay, so I have to tell the audience who's watching right now, I knew Sakshi back in the day when I was a radio jockey. This was years and years back, and she was an intern with us, and we used to tell her to do the most inane jobs and run around and do like a lot of things. And what has your journey been after that? I know, I remember the reason you were hired that time is because you were a good writer and we used to make you write a lot of things and a lot of that. So what's your journey been since then? Tell me all. How did your journey take you to now writing children's poetry?
It's been a very interesting journey. A lot of things planned, but mostly unplanned. Like they say, life happens. So I think I always wanted to do something with media and communication, and that's how I was exploring, myself with y'all and the beautiful team at the Go radio station, and they gave me opportunities to write, to interview people, a lot of skills that I learned there. I think over a period of time, I realized that writing was something that I kept coming back to.
Hmm.
It's just the mediums kept changing. So earlier it was either writing for radio, then it became newspapers and websites. And then I think all of us finally want to seek joy, and fulfillment with what we're doing. And I realize that happens to me when I'm with children.
Right.
So I thought, how do I combine this? So I started teaching for many years. I started working with children. I started to work with them. I started to do writing workshops where I encourage them on how to write poems, how to write stories. I still do that, but it's reduced a lot because writing takes a lot of my time. But that was always a very exhausting. Teaching can be very exhausting, very demanding, but very fulfilling. And I think that's where the love for translating something for children came about, like
Right.
writing a story or poems for children came about. I think when you are with children, you start to think like them,
That's
and
lovely.
so and the ideas. So you're kind of spending. I used to spend a lot of my day with them, and then when I came back, my mindset would be like that, and I thought, okay, why not write for children?
Yeah.
And then, of course, there were no plans to write a book or anything, but over a period of time, I started jotting down things that came to me, ideas, rhyme, things like that. And then I thought, let me run it by the kids that I teach. Let me tell them that this is a book that my friend is working on or
That's a good
something.
idea though.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise I'll get a very, biased, it's very nice, miss, it's very good. So I said, this is what my friend is working on. And what do you think? And everybody had, a thumbs up. They were laughing and I'm like, okay, this is the audience that I'm interested in. I really don't care if somebody out there in the field of writing gives me an approval or not. That was, of course, much later on. But so two things happened. One was I got their approval and they were my audience. And second thing was the only way I could share all that I had written out in the world was to put it in a book.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
That's how it happened.
That's amazing. That's super. How many years back was this?
Yes. The first book came out in 2014 December. Yeah.
Right. Oh, wow. Okay. So 8 years. It's been like this year, it's going to be like
Yes.
8 years. Oh, lovely.
Firstly, my intent was, of course, not to be famous or not to put, make it everywhere. But I think once you get the book out, everybody tells you, no, you should spread the word. I mean, you've done so much effort. You've done it all by yourself. You must spread the word. So I think I was very fortunate and blessed in a lot of ways. Firstly, I was working with lots of children at one time. So a lot of parents were very sweet and supportive. And if they knew bookstore owners, they connected me to people. and things just happened very organically and very fast. So before I knew, I was at the Kalagoda festival, a beautiful store Kahani tree that has really raised my books like babies and has spread the word. They supported me a lot. So it started for children, and then the word also spread through children, I would like to think.
Hmm.
And then of course I did a lot of my own marketing. I did a lot of cold calling, writing to bookstores all over
Yeah.
the city. In fact, even when I traveled abroad, I would just show up at a store and say, would you like to stock my book?
That's amazing.
And
Wow.
a lot of the times I got lucky, a lot of times there were rejections,
Yeah.
but I think it's all part and parcel.
Right. Right.
um, I think then I got a hang of it, and then a lot of schools started inviting you, and when that happens, then the word spreads because one
Correct.
school, the other, and it's just very organic. Yeah.
So, normally when we hear of storybooks for children, it's always like a proper kahani that happens, right? But here you're
Yes.
writing poetry. Now, for children, and right from toddlers to, I'm assuming your books would be what, from 0 to targeted till about 8, 10, or till about 6? What is their
Yeah.
target group?
Primarily, yes, that's a good question. Primarily, I think I end up writing for the age group that I'm stuck in my head, which is about 4 to 7.
That's adorable. Okay. So that time, nursery rhymes is the only thing that pops up in our head. But this is not a nursery
Yeah.
rhyme. It's proper poetry because you have a message. There are different things which adults talk about, but you're trying to get that message
Yeah.
across to children in their way and in a language of poetry, which I think is very difficult to mix the two things, and yet to maintain that there needs to be not just a moralistic message, but more what's happening in the world. Because kids are usually kept so away from dunya mein kya ho raha hai. And here your
Yeah.
your poem is talking about dunya mein kya ho raha hai. So which was what
Yeah.
really got me interested. So did you plan this? Did you think that this should be done? What was the seed thought over there?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. I think I've probably not processed that, but I think it's important. Yes, so I think when I was teaching, I ended up teaching a lot of kids from very privileged backgrounds.
Acha.
Highly privileged backgrounds who would step out of their homes straight into countries abroad, and had a very cushioned life.
Yeah.
And I realized when I talked to them about things, they weren't really aware. They were very, very oblivious to the suffering and
Yeah.
things that happen. And I went sometimes out of the way, of course, with their parents' permission, to introduce them to stories and literature where there was pain and suffering for characters.
Yeah.
Because even their parents, in fact, were with me because they said, yes, hope they don't have to go through it in real life. Although I still hope that everybody does go through suffering in real life because it teaches us so much.
Correct.
But at least this can be a good, safe window for them to explore pain and difficulty and challenges.
Correct.
So most of the books that I wrote before Feet in the Sand were very light-hearted and very silly and funny and joyful.
For example,
but when I was writing Feet in the Sand,
Rat-a-tat,
Yes.
Jalebi Jingles.
Yes.
If I could teach my teacher, Tauji ki Chuhiya.
Teacher.
These are the ones that came
Yes.
before. I'm loving the titles also,
Yes.
by the way. Yes, very nice. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then came Ret Mein Paao, or Feet in the Sand.
Yeah. There were two more in between, but we'll get to that. We'll get to those. So I think when I would visit schools before Feet in the Sand, and they would always ask me, when are you writing your first storybook? Why are you not writing chapter books? So I think this is probably in that direction.
Yeah.
Although I don't think you can call it an out and out storybook. It's still poetic and rhyme, but it has a story as opposed to all the other books that are just poetry. One intent to make Feet in the Sand more story-like was, that's how Feet in the Sand came about.
Right.
I didn't want to make it preachy because no children like preachy messages, just like no adults like preachy messages. So, so the intent was to make it joyful, make it as fun and light as possible, and just show them what's actually happening.
Right. So we can
I
keep
think
talking.
they're smarter than enough. Yeah,
exactly. But we can keep talking about it, but till we don't explain with example, we don't get it.
Sure.
So I think what we're going to do is get into a proper audio read, a book read with you right now of your book, Feet in the Sand. So I will do the Hindi bits, you do the English bits, and let's read the book together right now.
Great. So that's Feet in the Sand for you. and we have these beautiful pictures done by an illustrator called Sushil Jangam. He's done most of my books, and
Right.
he's like, and all the kids ask me who's done the pictures, because for kids it's all about pictures, and they're like,
Correct.
have you done them? I was like, I wish, but no.
Lovely. So, Reth
All
Mein
right.
Paun, Feet in the
Now,
Sand by Sakshi Singh.
all right. Sand between their toes, sand wherever they go. Slipping around the seashores, the feet want to play more. The feet they dance, the feet they play.
रेत में पाँव, रेत में पाँव, खेलते और फिसलते, हंसते और धंसते, रेत में पाँव, कभी धूप, कभी छाँव.
The feet they sing, the feet they sway.
रेत में पाँव, कभी आते, कभी जाते, कभी हंसते, कभी गाते.
Drawing in the sand, scribbling with her hand, she sings and plays, and she smiles and sways.
कभी लिखते, कभी मिटाते, हंसते, खेलते, फिसलते, संभलते, हंसते, रुलाते, बनाते, बिगाड़ते.
Oh, the things we find, colorful bags, flowers of all kinds. Some circle and follow our feet with the wind, while others stay behind.
मिलती चीजें, थैली रंग बिरंगी, फूल पुराने, कुछ अच्छे, कुछ मुरझाए.
A single shoe, where did it come from? No one knew.
एक जूता, कभी फीता, ये सब कहां से आए?
In the sand she finds 2 ears, huge in size. Not far away, the feet stick out, where her friends scream and shout.
रेत में मिले दो कान बड़े बड़े, पास में दो पैर धसे हुए, सब देखकर उछले.
Playing by the sea, a trunk the color of tea, the stomach like a wheel of cheese. All these paths they see.
समुंदर के पास एक सूंड भूरे रंग की, और ये क्या, देखो कान.
Like a simple game, the paths were joined one by one. An idol was made. Oh, it was so much fun.
सब जोड़ हमने बनाए गणपति, और उनके होठों पर मुस्कान.
Carrying the Ganpati would be hard, so they got their bike from the yard, walking hand in hand with their feet in the sand.
चलो इन्हें घर ले चलें, इनकी जय जयकार करें.
Wait, but who will clean our beach, our little grains of sand?
फिर रेत की सफाई कौन करेगा?
My hands, our hands. Yes, it is our hands. We decide to clean and we decide to care. We decide to sweep and we decide to share.
हमारे हाथ, हम सब मिलके साथ, लाओ हाथों में हाथ, चलो साथ साथ, रेत की सफाई करें, सब मिल बांट करें, हमारी रेत है ये.
Born of the sands, cradled in her hands, with joy and mirth, she gave us birth.
रेत से बने, रेत में पले, रेत में खड़े, हमारे हाथ और पांव.
Little grains of sand in the palms of our hand, tickling our toes wherever we go.
रेत से घिरे, रेत में फिरे, रेत से भरे, रेत ही घर है हमारा.
Surrounded by sand in the arms of the sea, we are full of sand and we are full of sea. Let's lend a hand, for we are the heirs, our mother, our sand, who gives and cares.
रेत में पांव, उछलते पांव, फिसलते पांव, हंसते पांव, धंसते पांव, पांव में रेत, रेत में पांव. Oh, this is so wonderful. It is such a lovely, beautiful little book for little children, for little ears. I can just imagine, because I did see a couple of your videos where you were reading this out to like lots of children. And the
Yeah.
fun of
Yeah.
this was that all of them were चीख के वो पोएट्री साथ में कर रहे थे, which was so wonderful. So
Yeah.
this whole thing, obviously, it's a very a strong message for keeping our beaches clean. It's a very strong message environmentally. What has the reaction been of people once this book came out?
So I think my intent always remains that, I try and get it across to as many children as I can and see their reaction on it.
Yeah.
Lots of children have really loved it. They have made videos and sent it to me. Like we did a book reading for about 100 children in Kanpur last year at a school, one of my favorite schools in Kanpur, NLK Public School, and they loved it. They have, they've asked me questions about it. So I know my audience is happy.
Right. Right. So, yeah. That's amazing. That's really nice. So what's next? What are and you said that there are, can you just list out all the little books that you have written? Because, and why I keep calling them little books is because in my head, I'm imagining lots of little children reading the book. So it's not little by far, but like, that's the emotion behind it. But tell me about all the books that are there.
Yeah, sure. So I think Rat-a-tat and Jalebi Jingles, definitely my first two children, my first two babies. I like to refer to books as my babies because I think I have to get them out in the world, and it takes a lot of effort nurturing and raising them like anything else. So I think they definitely came out in my life at a period which was very challenging for me, and I feel every time there's a challenge in life, something good comes out of it. And for me, it was those books, Jalebi Jingles. And Jalebi Jingles, we also ended up taking it to the London Book Fair, which was very lovely for the book. And we got a good response. But also during the lockdown, I came up with these two books. One is called Chatpat. Okay, so it's basically all the pictures of my own terrace, because terrace was the only place available to most of us, if at all. A lot of us also had a terrace to go to. You couldn't go out, you couldn't go. So terrace is where I went, and I try to look at the terrace from the eyes of a child again. So एक टंकी होती है, एक एंटीना होता है, कुछ पुराना सामान किसी का पड़ा होता है. So so children have got nothing to play with. So this little boy is trying to drag his father and saying, there's nobody here to play with, take me to the top, and he's looking at the sky, and he's, looking at a broken bench and a little stick and a ladder, and he wants to play hide and seek. And similarly, I came up with Limburics. Limburics is like a Hindi version of limericks. Limericks are those 5-line funny poems. So I was trying to pun on Limburics.
Nice.
It's a purely Hindi book. So, and in the pipeline, somehow it's happening. The rest of the books that I'm thinking of right now are all in Hindi.
Right. That's
it's
amazing.
Just coming to me. So
yes. I look forward to a lot more of these, like especially in Hindi, because I think Hindi poetry has such a beautiful feel to it, right? And that too meant for children. I think that really enhances the entire power that Hindi has with children. So I really look forward to those. So excellent. Keep us in the loop of everything that you come up with. And if we want to check out your work and buy the books, where can we go?
You can visit my website, sakshysongs.com, if you want to keep up with the work. But of course, all the books are available on Amazon.
Right.
If either in hard copy or on Kindle for sure.
Yeah.
And if you don't find something you're looking for, please write to us on the website, sakshysongs.com, and be happy to arrange it for you.
Excellent. I'm going to leave all the details right below in the description so you can reach out to her. But Sakshi, thank you so much for taking time today and chatting with us and doing this little book read with me today on the podcast. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. I think for writers who work alone or independently, it means a lot to have the support of great team like you to spread the word, because we can't possibly do it on our own. So it's all teamwork.
That's the idea. Exactly. That's the idea. Excellent. Thank you so much.